In February 1991, a Kuwaiti firefighter surveyed a hellish landscape, describing it as like looking at the gateway to hell. From horizon to horizon, smoke and flames devoured the desert, a catastrophic aftermath of the Iraqi army's retreat after their failed invasion of Kuwait. The Iraqis had sabotaged over 700 oil wells, igniting an ecological and economic disaster of unprecedented scale. Thick, soot-saturated smoke stained the blue desert skies black, turning day into night and casting streaks of ink across the planet visible from space. Without intervention, these fires, fueled by a near-endless supply of oil, could have burned for 45 years. Conditions worsened by the hour, with an estimated 5 to 6 million barrels of oil lost daily, each barrel valued at roughly $18. This meant Kuwait was hemorrhaging $1 million every 13 to 16 minutes. Extinguishing a single oil well fire is a formidable task, but the situation in Kuwait pushed firefighting experts to their limits, requiring them to navigate war-torn deserts littered with unexploded ordnance and dodge lakes of toxic oil that could ignite at any moment. This was one of the most complex firefighting operations ever undertaken, costing Kuwait an estimated $25 billion to pay firefighters and oil workers to stem the flow of their precious resource. The fire sparked a global race among expert firefighting teams, drawn by the challenge and the substantial financial rewards. Veteran Texas oil men, gathered in a Kuwaiti hotel, estimated that extinguishing the fires would require hundreds of workers in at least a year, with costs reaching $1 billion before accounting for the environmental toll. Among the teams, a group of 23 Hungarians arrived with a unique weapon, a custom-built firefighting vehicle nicknamed Big Wind, a Soviet T-62 tank retrofitted with two MiG-21 jet engines. This extraordinary machine played a role in the massive operation, though its impact was limited by logistics and timing. The roots of this disaster trace back to 1988, when Iraq emerged from an 8-year war with Iran, economically crippled and unable to pay its debts. Iraq campaigned for OPEC to raise oil prices to alleviate its financial burden, but claimed Kuwait was undermining this effort by exceeding its production quotas, driving prices down. In August 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait to seize its oil wealth, but a 6-month counteroffensive by the U.S. and its allies ended Iraq's occupation. As they retreated, Iraqi forces sabotaged Kuwait's oil infrastructure, destroying 85% of its wells in just a few days. Early efforts focused not on the fires but on clearing the minefields and unexploded bombs surrounding the wells. For nearly a month, the 700 fires roared unattended as military teams used explosive-laden wires to clear paths to the wells. Where oil pools made explosives too risky, mines were buried under sand to create safe passageways. By the end of the first year, over 1 million mines and 600 tons of unexploded munitions had been cleared. Fighting fires in a desert presented a unique challenge: the absence of water. Firefighting teams required massive quantities to cool the wells and approach the flames. Using existing pipelines, they pumped 25 million gallons of seawater daily into hundreds of man-made lagoons. However, getting close enough to spray water accurately and repair damaged infrastructure was daunting. Hardened, carbon-rich mounds formed from cooked oil created volcano-like formations around wellheads, blocking access to the infrastructure needed to stop the oil flow. With flames often too close for safe clearance, engineers and firefighters devised innovative solutions. One method involved lowering long steel tubes via crane onto the wellhead, raising the flame off the ground to allow teams to clear the mounds and reduce the fire's heat. Another approach used explosives to starve the fires of oxygen. Teams packed empty oil drums with plastic explosives, carefully maneuvering them over the flames to detonate and snuff out the fire by consuming surrounding oxygen. The Hungarian team's Big Wind offered a bolder solution. They replaced the tank's turret with 2 jet engines, equipped with protective fences to prevent debris, tools, or even firefighters from being sucked into the intakes. The driver entered through a hatch between the engines, a cramped space fitted with compressed air tanks to protect against toxic fumes. Visibility inside was nearly non-existent, and the roar of the engines, just a meter from the driver's ears, made communication nearly impossible. The team relied on a commander's joystick, which lit up green and red lights to guide the driver. An engine operator, stationed on an external platform, controlled the engine's thrust. Positioned just 8 meters from the fire, protected by a transparent heat shield, the operator activated the engines, which consumed half a gallon of fuel per second and generated 120,000 pounds of thrust. 3 water nozzles sprayed 3,780 liters of water per minute into the engine exhaust, creating a powerful blast that cut through the gushing oil column, starving the flame of fuel while cooling the surrounding area to prevent reignition. The thrust also dislodged hardened carbon buildup around the wellhead. Designed for high-altitude frigid air, the engines could only operate in 20-minute bursts in the hot, dense desert air to avoid overheating. Remarkably, big wind extinguished fires in just 12 to 40 seconds, compared to the hours required by traditional methods. Extinguishing the flames was only the first step. Stopping the oil flow was the next challenge. Kuwait's wells tapped reservoirs 120 to 2,100 meters underground, containing oil, seawater, and natural gas compressed to 7,000 psi. When tapped, these fluids surged uncontrollably. Wells were designed with steel casings and concrete to channel these resources safely to the surface, topped with a Christmas tree of pressure gauges and control valves. The Iraqi army targeted these, packing explosives around wellheads, though some failed to detonate, leaving additional hazards. In cases where the wellhead broke cleanly, oil shot upward in a steady stream, making fires easier to fight and wells easier to cap. However, most wells had partially destroyed Christmas trees, causing oil to spray chaotically and form hardened mounds. Once fires were out, teams used a stinger, a tapered attachment inserted into the well opening, often while still burning, to pump kill mud, dense drilling mud made with barite or hematite. On-site calculations determined the mud's volume to counter the well's pressure and halt the flow. For irregular openings, coarser mud sealed the stinger, while severely damaged wells required cutting away debris first. Over 10,000 people worked for 8 months to extinguish the fires. 3 Texas teams and 1 Canadian team, alongside Kuwaiti firefighters, led the initial efforts, but slow progress frustrated the Kuwaiti government. By August 1991, additional teams, including the Hungarians, were brought in. The Texas crews capped 357 wells, the Canadians 176, using a specialized truck that conserved water by relying on dry firefighting chemicals. Big Wind, despite its efficiency, capped only 9 wells due to its late arrival and logistical constraints. The Kuwait oil fires remain one of history's worst ecological disasters, spilling 42 billion gallons of oil 200 times the 205 million gallons of the 2010 Deepwater Horizon spill, which took a month to control. The fire's toxic effects impacted over 250,000 Gulf War veterans and had immeasurable global consequences. This disaster was one of many stemming from Saddam Hussein's rule, which spanned nearly a quarter century and sparked 2 major wars, resulting in millions of deaths. The international coalition formed to stop him was the largest since World War II. The firefighter's story is part of a broader narrative explored in a Nebula-exclusive series, Modern Conflicts, featuring 36 episodes on historical events like the F-117 Nighthawk's role in reclaiming Kuwait and a 5-part series on Britain's World War II victory in the Battle of Britain. Nebula offers ad-free content and offline downloads, supporting creators with subscriptions starting at $2.50 a month or a $300 lifetime membership. This funding has elevated production quality, enabling creators to move beyond YouTube's volatile ad revenue and focus on storytelling over algorithms, fostering projects like the upcoming travel competition series, The Getaway.